Hey everyone, SweetJohnnyCage here, back with another video for Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. I have just completed the game, and so I wanted to take a moment to talk about it, but also talk about what's different in this game. So, spoilers abound. Nothing is off the table. I will talk about Crisis Core, I'll talk about Crisis Core Reunion, I'll talk about Final Fantasy VII, I'll talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake. I'm talking about it all here. This won't be that long of a video, probably less than 10 minutes, but I did want to warn you that there are spoilers, and I'm going to be showing very specific moments of each version of Crisis Core. So, you've been warned. Okay, right off the bat, I do want to say, before we get to the spoiler stuff, the gameplay is really good in this version. I only ever played Crisis Core once, and I did not 100% it, which is rare for me for an RPG, because it was kind of tough to play on PSP. It ran at a really low frame rate. It's repetitive in terms of like just doing missions over and over, and the backgrounds of the missions really weren't much to look at. The environments are pretty plain. There's caves, Shinra buildings, and a field, and the desert. Like, that's all you got. So, right off the bat, I will say the gameplay is really good, and graphically, it looks beautiful. It's basically like a downscaled 7 remake engine, kind of. That's a quick way I can make it. That's a quick way I can put it. So it's very good. I will say the voice acting changes. They updated the cast to match the cast of Remake. So it's no longer the old voice actors. I think they all did a pretty good job. However, it seems like they had to use the same vocal timings as the original, which is odd. And so it's the same exact script with one exception. They did remove the line from the Seventh Heaven builder talking about hiring a certain kind of bartender. They dropped that line, which I'm glad for. That's an old line. It's like dated humor, so I'm glad it's out. But it's the same exact script. The timings of the cutscenes are the same. So it seems like they maybe use the original game's code in a way. But speaking to the voice acting, I will say that the new person who does Zack, Caleb, he's the same person who does the voice in Remake, in Zack's scenes. I think he did a great job, but I think there's something wrong with the recording in this game, like the recorded audio. There is no tone or gravel or bass to his voice. Like, everything he says is flat. And everything a lot of people say in this game is flat, and I don't think it was that way on PSP. And not just because the audio quality of a PSP game was worse than a PS4, PS5 game. I just think something happened with the engineering of the audio, because even when he yells, there's no bass to it. Like, there's no gravel in his voice, nothing. It sounds very weird. But, you can get over it pretty easy. So, yeah, the gameplay is... The combat is like 7 Remake. It's very seamless. There's really no loading screens at all. Sometimes they flash between... like when you're done with the chapter, it fades to black. You get a quick loading screen, then fades back up. Between combat, there's no loading, nothing. The combat feels like 7 Remake mixed in with the original Crisis Core combat. So it's really good. I really enjoyed playing it. I was kind of nervous about the gameplay of this game, but with the quality of life stuff, it's very fun to play. So there's that. Okay, getting into spoilers now. So, as far as I can tell, it is the exact same game with 2 exceptions. Technically 3, but that's more of just an odd choice, I think. I don't think it's like deliberate in terms of like changing it to fit into Remake, but there are 2 very distinct moments that I want to talk about. And so let's bring up the footage. We're doing this right in Adobe Premiere. So what we're going to do is we are going to play the scene, the original scene of Sephiroth getting stabbed by Cloud in the Nibelheim reactor after like uncovering Genova. So I just have it muted. What I'm actually... Yeah, okay. I'm glad I had it at the right spot. So Cloud picks up the Buster Sword, runs into Sephiroth, and impales him. So, he's impaled. Now, this always looked a little funny. Granted, this is like an upscaled PSP emulator, but it always looked a little funny that there's just a Buster Sword sticking through Sephiroth's abdomen. Now, let's take a look at what happens in Reunion. So there's no more eyeball on Jenova, and her face is now covered. So that's different. I think that's a design change, though. Most importantly, though, is this. This right here, this gray smoke. I think this is one of two things happening. What I want it to be is the Whispers protecting the timeline of this game. I know a lot of folks there's a lot of different feelings about the Whispers in Final Fantasy VII Remake and how it's a meta commentary from the creators. I like them. I think it's a cool way to remake the game and reimagine it. But I'm a little worried here. Is this the game being censored? Because it would look really odd if there was no blood here or anything. And so both the PSP version of the game and Reunion are rated T for teen, at least in America. I'm not sure what the PEGI rating is in Europe or the Zero rating is in Japan or anything. I don't know what the worldwide ratings are, but in America or North America, it's T for teen. So is this just the game being censored and them using Whispers as a plot mechanic to censor it? I don't know. Or is this really the Whispers? Like, is this the Whispers protecting the timeline? And it explains, it is a retcon. It's a retroactive, I can't remember what the con stands for. Anyway, it's a retcon. But it helps explain why Sephiroth lives, right? Like why he washes up in the Northern Crater and gets encased in materia. Or Mako, whatever it is. Curious how they're going to show that in Rebirth. And so I do think it's the Whispers protecting the timeline. And because of this change, I don't know, like, you got to think, like, is it called Reunion because it's different? Is it called Reunion just because it's better than Remaster? I don't know. But this is an obvious change, is the smoke coming out of him. And it continues to pour out of him until he goes down. Now, so that was a loading screen. That's what I'm talking about. So now, the next piece is what happens to Cloud when Sephiroth stabs him. So, let's do the same thing. Let's watch this in the original. Okay. I have this muted deliberately. I'm just not sure if there's like music or anything. So they fight. I'm just going to skip ahead. Okay. This is exactly what we're going to show for Reunion as well. So Sephiroth walks in. Again, Jenova's head looks a tad different in Reunion. You don't actually see her face. Cloud gets stabbed. Now look, right here. Let's watch it in Reunion.
Sephiroth!
You see her exposed brain, but you don't actually see her face. It's all caged. So I think that's just dust being kicked up. I don't think that's Whispers. But yeah, you don't get to see her face. It's just her boxed-in head, which is odd. See? Whisper smoke coming out of him. And it comes out of him the entire time. Now, again, I don't know if this is the game being censored because maybe you can't show, like, realistic impalement in teen games. I really don't know. I know you can't show decapitation. I know that's a big one, which is why Ghost of Tsushima got toned down. And like these graphics are a lot more lifelike, even though it is a fantasy game. These graphics are a lot more lifelike than maximizing the wrong window. These graphics are a lot more lifelike than these graphics, right? Like it's a lot different. This looks like a cartoon. This looks like it could be real life, you know? So again, like, I don't know. I don't know if it's... I don't know if it's censorship. I don't know if it is the Whispers as a retcon. Unclear. But those are the changes that I found. Now, there is one additional change. There's there's a change that I thought was happening, but it doesn't, and that is right at the very end during the final cutscene. So Cloud is going to walk away from Zack, and you're going to notice some dust kick up. It is dust, and I've muted this because of the song at the end. This right here, you can sort of see it pluming up. That's dust from the sword. That is in the original. Again, this is upscaled, so that's why you're able to see it a lot better, but I went back and I looked at a couple of different videos of the ending from the PSP version. The dust is there, so that is not whispers. Zack is very much riddled in bullet holes. One of the things that I will say that I didn't mention at the top is that all of the cutscenes in Reunion, all the cinematic cutscenes, are the PSP cutscenes upscaled. So they are a little blurry, they're a little grainy, the faces don't match, like, they don't match, like, the graphical style of this game, and it's like, you know, back then, having cinematics and FMVs in games, everybody looked different because they weren't just polygons. Now they were, like, true to life in a sense. And that made sense for Crisis Core, even though the graphics were very good for the time for PSP, but they still looked a little cartoony, so they made cinematics that looked more lifelike. And in Reunion, it's the same exact cinematics upscaled. So you're going to notice that when you're playing. It gets a little blurry during those cutscenes, especially if you're playing on a 4K display, either a monitor or a television. So that dust is there. But the final change that I want to talk about is the stinger scene from the original. Okay, I couldn't tell if my camera's lagging. The stinger scene from the original PSP version is, I think it's actually the tech demo from the PS3. I think it's that tech demo of Final Fantasy VII. But in Reunion, they added in clips from Remake, which I don't understand why they did it. And the final message of the PSP version says the story continues or to be continued in Final Fantasy VII. I was fully expecting that message to change to Final Fantasy VII Remake, but it doesn't, which is why I find this incredibly odd, but I'll let this play out. This is from Remake. It's just timed to Crisis Core. But this is footage from Remake. And don't get me wrong, it looks fantastic. It looks incredible. But something's about to happen. So normally the logo would slam here. But now you're back to the PSP cutscene upscale. So it's extremely odd to me that they put in remake pieces but not the entire thing. You know, like, it doesn't make a lot of sense. They literally could have shown the intro cutscene of 7 Remake.
My name is Cloud.
And been fine.
Soldier. First class.
But that's Cloud's design from Advent Children. That's the compendium design of Cloud. And it says, to be continued in Final Fantasy VII. But this logo is the Final Fantasy VII Remake font. Like, this is an upscale. This is a high quality logo of Final Fantasy VII, but it does not say Remake. So I don't know. Like, I don't understand. I don't understand why they made those changes of all the changes they could have made. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But the smoke here is definitely a change. Where is it? The smoke is definitely a change. Right there. That's definitely a change. It could be censorship. And the smoke here is definitely a change as well. So what I will say is, being very honest, I am a touch disappointed that there is no connection to Remake other than possible censorship and using a retcon to explain the censorship. The voice acting is a little flat, and I think that's an engineering problem or a recording problem. I don't know, because no one sounds that flat in real life. So yeah, what I will say though is, even though I'm a little disappointed that there isn't a bigger connection to Remake, they outright said this was more than a remaster. Like, there are major quality of life changes in this game, and I highly recommend everybody play it. It is fun, and I am not going to show you what areas of the game look like outside of what I think has changed, because I really do believe that we are getting a preview of what certain locations will look like in Rebirth. I'm talking about Nibelheim. I'm talking about Gongaga. Like, the places that you go in the final act of Crisis Core are places that we will likely go in Rebirth, and the designs are gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And I really do think we're getting a preview. Like, everything looks good in Crisis Core Reunion, but when you get to that last act, it feels like this is what it's a real preview of what we're about to get. I'm hesitant to say like this is where the budget went, because Sector 8 looks great, Sector 5 looks great, Shinra HQ looks great, Wutai looks great. Like, everything looks very good in Reunion, but like when you get to the final act, you're like, damn. Like, hopefully, in 4K, a dedicated PS5 game, dedicated PC game, like this looks as good as it is. Hopefully it's a serious preview. But that's going to do it for me. I know I said this would be about 10 minutes, under 20, I guess is pretty good. But yeah, so those are my thoughts on Crisis Core Reunion. Those are the changes I think have happened, but we will see. So there is no extra post-credits. It's the same. It flows the exact same way. Zack dies, you get the cool, music video kind of cutscene, you get credits, and then you get the stinger that now has Remake pieces in it. But it's the same exact thing. So, yeah, that's it. All right, so guides will continue. I have a couple of missions to go back to, or a couple chapters to go back to for a trophy that I missed, and then I will start doing like the final couple challenge trophies and then get into the missions. So yeah, that's it. All right. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more Crisis Core content, especially if you're looking for guides and walkthroughs. I will be uploading those in the coming days, and there's already a bunch available on the channel. All right, I'm SweetJohnnyCage. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.